Okay, let's unpack this for you. Today, we're diving deep into a stack of truly thought-provoking sources,
Mm-hmm.
and they offer a fresh, sometimes really counterintuitive perspective on facing life's biggest challenges.
Yeah, definitely not the usual advice you hear.
Exactly. You know that feeling, right? When the weight feels crushing, the task just immense.
Mm.
And that little voice whispers, maybe you don't have to do this.
Yeah, the easy way out seems tempting.
Well, our mission in this deep dive is basically to pull out those powerful nuggets of wisdom that completely flip that script,
Right.
showing how, profound growth is often forged in difficulty,
Mm-hmm.
how real clarity comes from like radical simplification,
Yeah, cutting through the noise.
and why starting imperfectly isn't just okay, it's actually the ultimate path to making meaningful progress.
It really is.
So get ready to maybe rethink how you approach, well, everything,
Mm.
from personal goals to your biggest life aspirations.
What's genuinely fascinating, I think, about the material we looked at is how these ideas, which seem kind of distinct, embracing discomfort, stripping away complexity, they all sort of converge on one truth. The things we instinctively try to avoid, often they're precisely what we need for like fundamental transformation.
That makes sense.
These sources really challenge that whole narrative that glorifies ease and comfort as the ultimate goal.
I find that so compelling. The idea that growth thrives in the fire,
I see.
it feels so, well, opposite to how we're often taught to see obstacles.
Really?
We're sold comfort.
We are. Comfort is the destination. But this research, it argues that true meaning, true strength, it's sculpted in the trenches of effort. There's a really impactful story in one of the articles about a fitness journey. The body's changing, the mind's adjusting. It's exciting, but wow, sometimes profoundly difficult.
And this is where that concept of voluntary suffering really hits home.
Yeah.
The story goes into detail about this intense ab session, like leg shaking, core screaming.
I can picture the urge to quit is just overwhelming. But then the trainer, Eric, he starts praying right there in the middle of it all.
Really?
Yeah. He says, thank you, God, for the opportunity to do this with my brother Eddie, to get stronger. Thank you for the opportunity to suffer because I get to feel this burn. I get to test my limits.
That's powerful.
I get to push when so many don't have the chance.
Wow, that immediately shifts the whole perspective, doesn't it?
Completely.
It reframes what most people would see as just, grueling punishment
Yeah, torture.
into a profound privilege.
Yeah.
That makes you think, there are countless people who would give anything for the physical ability to just move, to challenge themselves, to feel truly alive like that.
Exactly. It's not about enjoying pain for pain's sake.
No.
It's about a deep appreciation for the opportunity to engage with life when it's demanding something from you.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the insights suggest we've often mixed up discomfort with danger, or maybe difficulty with failure.
Right. We see hard and think bad.
But these sources argue that intentional suffering, the kind we choose, for growth, or mastering a skill, achieving a goal, purpose-driven.
That kind is sacred. It's the crucible where identity gets forged, where weakness turns into wisdom, potential becomes actual power.
It's about reverence, really.
Yeah.
Reverence for the gifts that come from giving everything you have to something that truly matters to you.
And this isn't just a gym thing, right? I mean, I can start there, sure.
Absolutely.
But it ripples out into every part of life. Every meaningful thing you build, a scary new business, a relationship you're committed to, those big dreams.
They'll demand something.
They demand a piece of you. And the key, according to these insights, is that eventually you want to suffer for them. Because a life without some chosen sacrifice can feel, well, kind of flat, like a story without depth.
Yeah, a journey without a climax, sort of.
Exactly.
But this raises a really important question, I think. For someone struggling to find that perspective, how do they actually make that shift, practically speaking? Good question.
The sources suggest that at the end of that kind of journey, you won't primarily remember the pain itself, but rather what it meant to you. You'll remember choosing not to quit, picking your head up, maybe whispering thank you to the challenge,
Right.
and earning your place in that metaphorical fire. It's not that we have to do hard things, it's that we get to. That subtle shift in framing, it's everything.
Okay, so we've explored leaning into discomfort, seeing it as a privilege. But sometimes the challenge isn't just endurance, is it?
No, sometimes it's just fog.
Exactly. Seeing the path clearly when everything feels overwhelming. Which leads us to the next insight. The art of simplifying obstacles to get incredible clarity. We found this fantastic anecdote in the material about an old friend who'd completely lost his workout routine. Big life changes, toddler, demanding job, house renovation.
Classic overload.
Totally. He tried everything to get back on track, but just couldn't keep it going.
His core struggle, he said, was just finding the time for fitness in his, impossibly busy life.
Sounds familiar.
And then came this remarkably simple but really effective solution. He found a gym with a daycare. Simple as that. He could bring his son, work out for 45 minutes, and that one decision basically allowed his whole life to get back some momentum.
Wow.
He called it the rock I had to move.
That rock metaphor is brilliant, I think.
It really is.
It highlights that often the breakthrough isn't about what you need to add to your life, like some new complicated system.
Right? Not more stuff.
Instead, it's about figuring out what's stopping you from leveling up. What's the boulder you need to push out of the way? Or maybe even what do you need to remove or get rid of?
And this perspective really challenges our tendency to overcomplicate things, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The sources suggest that, while the world throws infinite variables at us, humans are actually pretty good at simplifying. We just don't always apply that skill effectively. The real value is in genuinely asking, what's the single most impactful thing I could remove or change?
Just one thing.
That would free me up to start moving the right direction. When you find that rock, it's like a light switches on.
Yeah. Suddenly things make sense and you feel that surge of momentum.
Exactly.
And that feeling of progress, as the material points out, it's deeply tied to happiness, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We thrive on meaning, on purpose.
When we're stuck, the worst part isn't just being still. It's feeling disconnected from moving towards what matters. For that friend, the mental rock was maybe the belief that he couldn't manage a good workout and his son.
Right, that limiting belief.
Removing that obstacle unlocked everything else.
And it's crucial to remember, I think, that while there might be lots of rocks in your path, you can only really move one at a time.
The analogy used is like dominoes.
Yeah.
You have to push the first one down for the others to fall.
That makes sense. Focus.
It powerfully underscores the control we actually have. If you can boil down a complex situation to that one critical thing stopping you from going or changing or stopping something, you've found your leverage point. It's like your frustration is a dam holding things back.
Yeah.
You don't need to add more water. You need to figure out what you can remove to let it flow. Life is basically a momentum game.
It is.
And you win when you feel like you're progressing. The mantra from these sources is really powerful. Know that change is possible, and know that the very next move is always within reach.
You don't need all the answers up front.
No, the journey itself provides them. The path contains the secrets.
And that brings us quite naturally to another key insight, the illusion of perfection.
Ah, yes, the big one.
And why starting imperfectly is the absolute key to making any progress at all. The material cites General George Patton.
Famous quote.
Yeah. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week.
That hits hard because we so often fall into that trap, don't we? Believing greatness requires one perfect swing.
Or waiting for the stars to align.
Right. If we just wait for the ideal moment, perfection will just appear. But life, as these sources really hammer home, is not a perfection game.
No, it's an adjustment game.
Yes. And looking back, this chase for perfection, it often boils down to just one thing. Fear.
Fear of starting.
Fear of starting, fear of going, fear of the uncomfortable unknown. Perfection, the material suggests, might be the biggest con we play on ourselves.
That leads to the distinction between the thinker and the doer, which is so valuable here.
Explain that.
Well, the thinker studies, reflects, endlessly, convinced they can get all the answers before they start.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. But the truth, according to this research, is that real greatness is forged through repetition, through wheels on the road, through actual messy action.
And you're absolutely going to be terrible at first.
Well, guaranteed.
You'll feel unsure, probably get lost, stumble. But that's the raw material. That becomes the knowledge, the wisdom that shapes the whole journey.
Right.
When you commit to going before you're ready, two powerful things happen. First, after you fall down or feel a bit embarrassed, you get back up and realize, that wasn't nearly as bad as my brain said it would be.
The fear was worse than the reality.
Totally. And second, you actually learn something concrete.
Real feedback.
Then you can start to double down on what works. And just as importantly, cut out what doesn't.
And as you take that new confidence and wisdom to the next step and the next, repeatedly, the curve of progress becomes exponential. You're stacking bricks, building a foundation from those, humbling first tries.
That idea that you could somehow skip the ugly stuff by waiting for perfect, it's just self-sabotage, isn't it?
Completely. It's like a sailboat waiting for the perfect wind before leaving the harbor. You need the friction, the resistance to actually move forward.
So the greatest gift we can give ourselves is just permission. Permission to go.
To start.
Life isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for a willingness to start, to dive in and figure it out along the way. Think of all the brilliant businesses that only exist in people's heads, or the versions of ourselves who are only in shape when we close our eyes.
Yeah, the someday trap.
We dramatically shorten that gap between our ideal and our reality by taking action now, even when we can't possibly imagine how the whole thing will unfold.
As one of the articles put it, the world really wants to help people who help themselves.
I like that.
If a dream is only worth the action you're willing to take for it, then let that action start immediately. Move past the paralyzing illusion of perfect and turn the imperfect right now into a foundation for whatever comes next.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've covered quite a bit of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've seen how choosing to embrace voluntary suffering, seeing it not as punishment but as a privilege, becomes this sacred space where identity is forged, where weakness turns into wisdom, and potential really becomes power.
Remember Eddie's trainer, Eric, and that prayer of gratitude?
Yeah, praying for the chance to suffer during that intense workout.
Yeah.
Such a powerful reminder. We get to do hard things.
Absolutely. Then we explored that profound simplicity of finding and moving your rock.
Right.
That single, maybe overlooked obstacle, like the gym with the daycare for the busy parent.
Yeah.
That can just unlock huge momentum and get your whole life moving again. It's about removing what's blocking you, not just piling more on.
So important. And finally, we tackled that illusion of perfection, highlighted by General Patton's wisdom, understanding that greatness is really forged through repetition, through action.
Doing the thing.
Not by waiting for some ideal moment that honestly just never arrives. The thinker waits, stuck in analysis.
Well, the doer goes, learns from the stumbles, and builds something real from that experience.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive, I think, it's a powerful reminder that you are the author of your own story. You don't need the whole book written out before you start chapter 1. The path itself gives you the answers. It lights the way forward.
Your real power lies in simplifying all those variables life throws at you.
Yeah, cutting through the complexity.
Honing in on what's actually doable right now, and knowing that the very next move is always within reach. Every single time your mind whispers, you're not ready, let that be your clearest signal to step forward.
Use it as fuel.
Exactly. Because life isn't asking for perfect. It's asking for willingness. Willingness to start, to dive in, adapt. You've built this opportunity piece by piece. You've created momentum. This is your moment. Embrace it.
As the material we looked at puts it so well, there is no tired. You left that in the waiting room years ago. There is no unsure. Pushing yourself to exhaustion every day. Took care of that. There is only when do you rise up? You have earned today. Go make sure the world knows.